ang hirap naman ng calculus. Sino ba nagpauso nito?
Ang alam ko si Newton nagsimula ng groundbreaking ng calculus eh. Diba?
Hindi sa pagkakaalam namin si Leibniz.
Si Newton yun, nakalagay pa nga dyan eh. Basta nakalagay dyan.
Si Leibniz kasi talaga ang alam namin.
Si Newton kaya?
Si Leibniz?
O paano mo nasabi?
Sino ba talaga?
Wait lang! Hindi pa kami ready sa adventure. May calculus assignment pa kami. Sandali! Nasaan na kaya tayo?
Parang familiar
It was December 25, 1642 in England when Isaac Newton was born. Isaac Newton's father was a wealthy and educated farmer who died 3 months before Newton was born. When Newton was merely 3 years old, his mother remarried. Despite a challenging upbringing, Newton showed how he excelled academically. He pursued his higher education at Trinity College in Cambridge, where he delved into mathematics, physics, and astronomy. Further pursuit of an education was interrupted by the plague. Trinity College was closed due to the highly contagious, deadly disease. It was during this time that Newton started to pursue his own ideas on math, physics, optics, and the law of motion. These findings solidified his reputation as a gifted mathematician and physicist, forming the bedrock for subsequent scientific endeavors. By 1666, he had completed his early work on his three laws of motion. The university reopened and Newton took a fellowship in order to obtain his master's degree. Through his education, he delved into the realms of mathematics, Latin, Greek, rhetoric, logic, and ethics, and started to have fascination with mechanics and physics. It was year 1665 while Isaac was resting and studying under the tree. Suddenly, an apple fell from the branch where it was taking a break. Isaac picks up the apple, examining it with an inquisitive gaze. He wondered, why do objects fall to the ground? This is where Isaac began his studies based on his discoveries. Infinitesimal calculus that concerns with rates of change, slopes of curves, accumulation of quantities, and areas under or between curves. Next is fluxion that were introduced by Isaac Newton to describe his form of a time derivative and made of Newton's early calculus. Next is mathematical principles of natural philosophy by Isaac Newton and is considered by many as the most important scientific work ever published. The Quadratura Curvarum is Newton's last written and first published treatise on calculus and shows both his technical skills and his final approach on fluence and fluxions. And optic that lead to Newton's evolutionary new theory of light and color published in 1672. Today, if you publish your work, you get credit for it. But back then, even if you showed your work to some trusted people, you could still claim it as yours. This led to fights because the first person who had the idea was seen as smart, and the second person was accused of stealing. Just like one of the most famous arguments in the history of science that was between Newton and Leibniz about who invented calculus. We know for sure that Newton was the first to come up with calculus. By the middle of 1665, he had written down the basic math ideas that Leibniz used 20 years later. We also know that Newton couldn't have stolen anything from Leibniz because around 1665 to 1666, Leibniz, who was just 20 years old, didn't know much about math.
Oh, si Leibniz yung gumagawa ng calculus. Sabi ko yun, siya yun.
Nakita ko kaya si Newton kanina. Siya yung unang gumagawa ng calculus.
Pero gumagawa rin si Leibniz. Baka siya talaga.
Ang alam ko si Newton.
But now, the question is whether Leibniz copied Newton. Leibniz came up with the calculus by himself between 1673 and 1676. Otherwise, this argument was explained by Hall in his book. He talks about how sometimes in science, different people discover the same things at the same time, and that math is special because you can get the same results using different methods. And so, in the end, even though this fight makes these genius men look bad, it was a result of their personalities and the way things were back then. And that it shouldn't make us forget how smart they were in math.
Sabi ko sa'yo, si Newton eh. Ang kulit mo kasi.
Hindi okay. Anong oras na ba? May calculus pa tayo.
Tara na nga.